How my perfect life was a carefully constructed lie. I need to get this off my chest because I'm still processing how completely I was played. For 28 years, I thought I was living the dream. Turns out, I was living someone else's carefully curated nightmare, and I was too blind or too controlled to see it. Let me paint you a picture of what my life looked like 6 months ago. I had everything. A gorgeous fiancé named Marcus who worked in finance, always impeccably dressed, always knew the right thing to say at dinner parties. We lived in a beautiful renovated brownstone in a trendy neighborhood, the kind of place that made my college friends' jaws drop when they visited. My family adored him. My mother literally called him the son she never had. My older sister Emma would joke that I'd won the lottery. My job as a senior marketing director at a prestigious firm was demanding, but impressive. I had a closet full of designer clothes, a calendar full of brunches and gallery openings, and an Instagram feed that could make anyone envious. I was the success story, the golden child who did everything right. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday. I came home early from work with a migraine and found Marcus's laptop open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping. The screen was literally facing me when I set down my keys. An email was open from someone named Vanessa. The preview line read, "Last night was incredible. When can I see you again?" My stomach dropped, but when I scrolled up looking for context, I found something worse than affair emails. I found financial statements, gambling debts, credit cards maxed out in my name that I'd never opened, loans taken against the brownstone my grandmother had left me in her will, the one I'd put solely in my name before Marcus and I got engaged. $347,000 in debt, in MY name. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I printed everything with shaking hands, then closed the laptop exactly how I'd found it. I went upstairs, locked myself in the bathroom, and called the one person I thought I could trust. My sister Emma. "Hey, what's up?" She sounded cheerful, busy. "Emma, I need to talk to you. Something's really wrong. Can you meet me somewhere, not at home?" There was a pause. "What's going on? You sound weird." "I found something on Marcus's computer. Financial stuff. Bad financial stuff." Another pause, longer this time. "Okay, listen, don't do anything rash. You know how Marcus is with money. He's probably just refinancing something. You know how complicated finance stuff is." "Emma, there are credit cards in my name I didn't open, and emails from another woman." "I'm sure there's an explanation." Her voice had this strange quality I'd never noticed before. Tight, controlled. "Just talk to him when he gets home. Don't jump to conclusions." "You're not hearing me. This is serious." "I hear you, but you're probably tired and stressed. You've been working so hard. Maybe take a bath and calm down before you confront him about anything." I felt crazy, like I was overreacting, like maybe I was reading too much into things. That's when I realized she already knew. "Emma, did you know about this?" "About what? You're being paranoid." "The debts, the cards. Did Marcus tell you?" "I have to go. I'll call you later." She hung up. I sat on the bathroom floor for an hour, everything I thought I knew rearranging itself in my mind. That evening, I confronted Marcus. I laid out the printed emails and financial statements on the dining room table. His face went through a remarkable transformation, shock, then anger, then something calculated slipped behind his eyes. "Baby, I can explain all of this." "Please do." He sat down, ran his hands through his hair in that gesture I'd always found endearing. Now it looked practiced. "Okay, yes, I've been in some financial trouble. I made some bad investments and I didn't want to worry you. You've been under so much stress with work. You opened credit cards in my name. To protect us, to protect the house. I was going to pay it all back before you ever found out. And Vanessa. A client. That email is completely taken out of context. She's just overly friendly." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. He reached for my hand. "Everything I've done for us, for our future. You know I love you more than anything." But I couldn't stop thinking about Emma's reaction, about how she tried to talk me down, about how she dismissed everything. "I need some time," I said quietly. "I'm going to stay at my mom's for a few days." His expression darkened. "That's not necessary. We can work through this here." "I need space, Marcus." "If you leave, you're making a huge mistake." There was an edge to his voice now. "Your family won't understand. They'll think you're being irrational." "Then I'll explain it to them." He stood up abruptly. "Go ahead, see how that works out for you." I packed a bag and drove to my mother's house in the suburbs, hands shaking the whole way. My mother answered the door in her pristine white blouse and pearl earrings. She'd always been elegant, put together. The kind of mother who made other mothers feel inadequate. "Sweetheart, what a lovely surprise. Although you should have called first, I would have made something special for dinner." "Mom, I need to talk to you. Can we sit down?" Her smile faltered slightly. "Of course, let me make tea." We sat in her formal living room, the one where nothing ever felt quite comfortable. I told her everything. The debts, the emails, Emma's strange reaction. She listened, her face perfectly neutral, hands folded in her lap. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. Darling, I think you're overreacting. My blood went cold. Excuse me. Marcus is a good man. He's been nothing but wonderful to you, to this family. Financial hiccups happen. And as for this woman, men have female colleagues. You can't go accusing him of infidelity based on one email. Mom, did you hear what I said? He opened credit cards in my name without telling me. Perhaps he was trying to surprise you. A vacation, maybe? Or he was protecting your credit score. I stared at her. Are you serious right now? Don't use that tone with me. Her voice was sharp now. You've always been prone to dramatics. Ever since you were a little girl, you've blown things out of proportion. That's not true. Do you know how lucky you are? Do you know how many women would kill for what you have? A handsome, successful fiancé, a beautiful home, a prestigious career. And you want to throw it all away over what? Some paperwork and a misunderstanding. This isn't a misunderstanding. She leaned forward. Listen to me carefully. If you leave Marcus over this, you will regret it. You'll be back on the dating market at 30. Do you know how hard that is? And your father and I won't be able to show our faces at the club. The embarrassment. The embarrassment. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mom, my fiancé has buried me in debt. Then you work it out. You stand by your man, that's what marriage is. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. Now, I think you should go home, apologize to Marcus for overreacting, and be grateful for what you have. I have bridge club in an hour. I sat there numb. You're not going to help me. I'm helping you by giving you good advice. Take it or leave it. She walked toward the kitchen, then paused. And darling, maybe talk to Dr. Richardson about adjusting your anxiety medication. You seem very worked up lately. I wasn't on anxiety medication. But the implication was clear. The problem was me. I was the crazy one. I left without another word and checked into a hotel. I couldn't afford it, not with the debt situation, but I couldn't go back to the brownstone. Not yet. That night, lying in a generic hotel bed, I started really thinking. Not just about Marcus, but about everything. How I'd gotten the job at the marketing firm because Marcus knew someone. How my manager had subtly suggested I dress more professionally, then more provocatively, depending on which clients we were meeting with. How I'd slowly stopped seeing my college friends because they weren't ambitious enough, and Marcus thought they were holding me back. How every major decision in my adult life had been somehow guided. The apartment I'd chosen, in a building where Marcus's friend was the landlord. The car I drove, financed through Marcus's connection at the dealership. The gym membership, the country club, the stylist who did my hair, all recommendations from Emma or Marcus or my mother. Even my therapist, the one I'd seen briefly 2 years ago when I felt anxious about wedding planning, Dr. Richardson, who my mother had recommended. I pulled out my phone and started Googling Dr. Richardson's practice, his specializations, his reviews. And there it was, buried in a comment on a medical review site. This doctor seems to prioritize keeping families together over patient well-being. When I tried to discuss leaving my abusive marriage, he suggested I was being too hasty and should consider my family's reputation. My hands started shaking again. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my old college roommate, Jess. We drifted apart, or rather, I'd been told we drifted apart. Oh my God, is this really you? She sounded shocked. I haven't heard from you in like 2 years. I know, I'm sorry, I don't even know how to explain. Are you okay? You sound weird. And for the first time in days, someone had asked if I was okay without following it up with a dismissal or a but. I started crying. Jess met me at a coffee shop an hour later. She looked exactly the same, messy bun, vintage band t-shirt, ripped jeans. Everything my new life had taught me was unprofessional and beneath me. Okay, she said, sliding into the booth. Talk to me. I told her everything, all of it. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker. When I finished, she said, holy shit, you know you're being financially abused, right? And emotionally abused by all of them. Hearing someone say it out loud made something break open inside me. I thought I was crazy, I whispered. You're not crazy, they've been gaslighting you. Classic DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Jess had always been the psych major. Your fiancé commits fraud and somehow you're the one apologizing. Your family prioritizes their reputation over your safety. That's textbook narcissistic family dynamics. But why? Why would they do this? Jess was quiet for a moment. You said your grandmother left you that house, right? And it's worth what, $2 million? Around that. And you said your sister's husband lost his job last year. I had said that, months ago in passing. Emma had mentioned it casually. Tom had been between opportunities. And your mom is really involved in that country club. Isn't membership super expensive? Like $50,000 annually. Jess nodded slowly. Okay, so, theory, your family has been propping up an image, their perfect daughter with the perfect life. It reflects well on them, makes them look good. And Marcus gets access to your assets, your house, your credit, your grandmother's inheritance. But he loves me. Does he, or does he love what you represent? I couldn't answer that. Jess reached across the table. Listen to me, you need to protect yourself, like legally, right now. She helped me find a lawyer that afternoon. A real one, not someone recommended by the family. Her name was Patricia Chen, and she was a shark. This is bad, Patricia said, reviewing the documents I'd printed. But it's not unfixable. We need to act fast. She helped me freeze my credit, file police reports for identity fraud, start the process of contesting the debt, put a legal hold on the brownstones so Marcus couldn't sell or further mortgage it. You need to prepare for them to fight back, Patricia warned. People don't like losing access to money. She was right. 2 days later, Emma showed up at my hotel. I don't know how she found me, probably called every hotel in the city. She was dressed in her yoga clothes, hair in a perfect ponytail, carrying 2 coffees. Hey, she said softly, can we talk? Against my better judgment, I let her in. She set down the coffees and sat in the desk chair, looking at me with what seemed like genuine concern. You look terrible. Thanks. I'm worried about you, we all are. Really? Because when I called you, you dismissed everything. Emma sighed. I know, I'm sorry, I didn't want you to make a rash decision. Marcus called me that night, panicked. He told me he'd made mistakes, but he loves you. He committed fraud, Emma. I know it looks bad. It is bad. She was quiet for a moment, then her expression changed, hardened. Okay, fine, you want the truth. Yes, I knew about some of the financial stuff. Marcus asked me for advice months ago. I felt like I'd been punched, and you didn't tell me. Because I knew you'd overreact, just like you're doing now. He stole from me. He borrowed against assets that would be his anyway when you got married. You're being so dramatic about this. Why are you defending him? Emma stood up, starting to pace. Because God, do you know how hard the past year has been? Tom lost his job. We've been drowning. Mom and Dad have been helping with the mortgage, but their retirement fund took a hit. We're all struggling. What does that have to do with me? She spun around, and for the first time I saw something ugly in her face. Because you have everything. You have Grandma's house worth millions. You have the trust fund she left you. You have a 6-figure job. And you don't even appreciate it. The trust fund, I said slowly. I don't have a trust fund. Emma froze. What trust fund, Emma? Her face went pale. Mom said, there was a trust. And then it clicked, the final piece. How much did Grandma leave me, in total? I don't. Emma, how much? She deflated into the chair. 3 million, the house and 2 million in a trust that was supposed to be released when you turned 30. I was 28. My birthday was in 3 months. Who's the executor? She didn't answer. Emma, who's the executor of the trust? Mom. I sat down on the bed, my legs giving out. Emma kept talking, words spilling out. Okay, look, the plan was that Marcus would marry you and you'd get access to the trust and he'd invest it. He promised returns, good returns, enough that we could all, that the family could be secure. Tom could start his business. Mom and Dad could retire comfortably. I could finally afford fertility treatments. Marcus gets a commission for managing the investments. You sold me. My voice sounded distant. You all sold me. We didn't sell you, we needed you to make good financial decisions. And you were going to marry him anyway. You love him. Did he ever love me, or was this always the plan? Emma looked away. I think he cares about you, in his way. In his way, I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to me. And Mom, Dad, when did they know? From the beginning. Mom introduced you to Marcus, remember? At that charity gala 3 years ago. I did remember. I thought it was a coincidence, a meet cute. It was an audition. Get out, I said quietly. Please just listen. Get out. She left, taking her coffees with her. I called Patricia immediately. We need to move faster. The next 2 weeks were a blur of legal action, restraining order against Marcus, fraud investigation, cease and desist letters to my family. Patricia discovered that my mother had been making small withdrawals from the trust for years, nothing huge but enough. Trustee expenses, she called them, country club dues, family emergency funds. The brownstone was legally mine, but I couldn't live there. Too many memories, too much violation. I put it on the market. My job was the next thing to unravel. Turns out Marcus's connection, who got me hired, was also an investor in the firm. When word got out about the legal situation, I was called into HR. We're concerned about the optics, my manager said delicately. Perhaps a leave of absence while you sort out your personal issues. I quit instead, walked out with my box of desk supplies and didn't look back. For the first time in my adult life, I had nothing. No job, no family, no fiancé, no carefully constructed perfect life. I was staying on Jess's couch, working as a freelance consultant to pay bills, and attending therapy 3 times a week with a therapist Patricia had recommended, someone who specialized in abuse recovery. Rock bottom felt like drowning. But slowly, something strange happened. I started sleeping better. Without Marcus beside me, making small comments about my weight or my spending or my friends. Without my mother's weekly calls asking why I wasn't trying harder to fix things. Without the constant performance of perfection. I started remembering who I'd been in college. The girl who'd wanted to write creatively, not just corporate marketing copy. Who'd loved thrift stores and dive bars and terrible horror movies. Who'd laughed too loud and stayed up too late and didn't give a shit about impressing anyone. I started writing again. Real writing. A blog about financial abuse that went viral. Then freelance articles. Then a book deal. My agent found me through the blog. The brownstone sold for $2.3 million. After paying off Marcus's fraudulent debts and legal fees, I had enough left to buy a small, normal apartment and put money away. The trust fund battle was still ongoing, but Patricia was confident we'd win. 6 months after that hotel room breakdown, I was sitting in my new apartment, a tiny one-bedroom with plants in the windows and mismatched furniture, when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Sweetie, it's Mom. I hadn't spoken to her since the lawyers got involved. I don't think we should be talking. Please just listen. I made mistakes, I see that now, but you're my daughter, I love you. You love the version of me that made you look good. That's not fair. You stole from me, you all did. We didn't steal, we were going to invest it. It would have grown. You would have thanked us eventually. There it was. Even now, no real acknowledgement, no real apology. I have to go. If you hang up, I won't call again. Good. I blocked the number. My dad tried reaching out a few weeks later via email. It was long and rambling, full of justifications about family loyalty and not understanding how hard things were and being too influenced by that friend of yours. I deleted it without responding. Emma showed up at my apartment once, crying, asking for forgiveness, saying Tom had left her and she had no one. I listened. Then I said, I'm sorry you're going through that, but I can't be the person who helps you. Why not? I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister when you decided I was a financial resource instead of a person. She called me a selfish bitch and left. I cried for an hour afterward. Then I called my therapist. Grief is normal, Dr. Martinez said. You're mourning what you thought you had. That's healthy. When does it stop hurting? When you stop expecting them to become who you needed them to be. Marcus tried contacting me exactly once through a mutual acquaintance. The message was, I hope you're happy now. You destroyed everything we built. I blocked that number too. The thing about having a perfect life is that it's exhausting. Every moment is performance. Every interaction is calculated. You're constantly monitoring yourself, adjusting, trying to maintain an image that doesn't really exist. My life now isn't perfect. My apartment is small. My income is unpredictable. I have a handful of real friends instead of a network of social climbers. I wear what I want, say what I think, and spend my Saturdays reading in coffee shops instead of attending charity galas. Last week I had dinner with Jess and some of her friends, artists, teachers, a guy who runs a dog rescue. We split an appetizer, drank cheap wine, and laughed until my stomach hurt. Nobody cared what I was wearing or what my job title was or whether I'd be good for their image. Walking home that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. My book comes out next month. It's called The Perfect Daughter, a memoir of financial abuse and family betrayal. My family has already hired a lawyer threatening to sue for defamation. Patricia says let them try. Truth is an absolute defense. The trust fund case settled last week. I got most of it back. Minus what my mother had already taken. She'll have to sell her house to pay legal fees. Part of me feels guilty about that. Most of me doesn't. I'm 30 now, single, living in a 600-square-foot apartment with a view of a brick wall, working from my couch in sweatpants, healing in therapy, building a life that's mine, not anyone else's carefully constructed fantasy. Sometimes I see my old life on Instagram. Marcus got engaged to someone new, a young associate at his firm who looks terrifyingly similar to how I looked 3 years ago. I hope she checks his laptop. Emma's posts are all about healing and narcissistic siblings. My mother still sends annual Christmas cards to our old family friends with a photo of just her, my dad, and Emma, like I never existed. It hurts less than I expected. Because here's what I finally understand. That perfect life was never mine. It was a prison made of expectations, manipulation, and image management. I was a prop in someone else's production. My life isn't perfect anymore. It's real. And I finally get to live it. Edit, holy shit, this blew up. Thank you all for the kind words and shared stories. To everyone asking, yes, I'm in therapy. Yes, I'm okay. Yes, the book is real. DM me if you want the title when it releases. And to whoever sent the message saying I'm being too harsh on my family, please examine why you think victims owe their abusers forgiveness. Block button works great. Edit 2, for those asking about the legal stuff, get a lawyer who specializes in financial abuse or fraud. Document everything. Check your credit report and trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 4. 5. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.